And what's up, full-time family? It is time to start the show. We do not have a lot of time today. I've got to be to work in about an hour and a half, so I'm going to be here for maybe 45 minutes, which will still give me time to get ready and get to work. So, with that being said, quick show today. We'll be back after work, though. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a lot later, but it is what it is. And then tomorrow, same story, but Thursday, thanks to John Doe, I believe, Now and Later, and also for sure Stamina MC, we're still going to be doing the Kayla Harrison fight companion. So with that being said, that's good news. We'll still be here Thursday, but other than that, our scheduled streams will be in the daytime. Normally we do these at 7 p.m. Eastern, but since we got these work shifts, it'll be in the daytime for the rest of this week and next week, except for Thursday. With that being said, not much time to get to the news, but of course we want to give a few people some more time to roll in here, so we're going to play these. For one, we got Brendan Schaub, going at the UFC, so I figured we'd run the Brendan Schaub versus Dana White, and then of course James Vick versus Justin Gaethje's going down this weekend, so I'm going to play that, which we just made, I believe, yesterday or the day before. So we're going to play that. I see someone said, where can you get the intro song link? It's just on one of those no copyright sound channels, Trap Sounds. I don't have the exact link for you, but I could probably get it to you if you, emailed me or something. Because I got, the song name, but I don't have the exact link. But, yeah, it's just on, no copyright trap, a YouTube channel, no copyright shit. So press play on this, and then we shall get started.
Well, the boys round here don't have no fear. James Vick's been talking shit, so I'ma kick him in his rear. I'ma kick him in his legs, then I'ma punch him in his ear. Yeah, I'ma knock this fucker out, then I'ma buy us both a beer. You see, I've had a long day with training and stacking hay, so I don't got time for all your bitching and whining. I don't know what you were thinking when you signed up to fight me at UFC Lincoln, but you had to be drinking. You had to be thinking that you were actually decent, but I'm about to prove you not when I beat your ass this weekend. They call me Justin Gaethje, and I know you fucking hate me, but the fans all love me, and you they don't fuck with. Beat your ass, then get another truck with the money that I won and give the rest to my honey. See, the boys round here don't have no fear. We're fighting in the UFC and it's just you and me. Sing along while I get me a beer. Yeehaw! See, the boys round here don't have no fear. We're fighting in the UFC and it's just you and me. Sing along while I get me a beer. Yeehaw! Wow, Justin Gaethje, it's clear that you're fucking crazy if you think that you can see me. I'm John Cena and you're Stevie. We both know that you can't beat me. You're riding a losing streak, and your fight IQ is stinks. Every fight you be taking beatings, and I'm not gonna take it easy. Yeah, I'm coming for your rank, and I'm coming to put that performance of the night bonus in the bank. And I'm not the one to play with, most dangerous and underrated. If you ain't know, they call me James Vick, and now let me hear you sing it. The boys round here don't have no fear. We're fighting in the UFC and it's just you and me. Sing along while I get me a beer. Yeehaw! See, the boys round here don't have no fear. We're fighting in the UFC and it's just you and me. Sing along while I get me a beer. Yeehaw!
Share. What's up, full-time family? What you really talking about? We did the Wonder Boy. We ventured off into a little bit of rock. Now we're into the little bit of country with the James Vick versus Justin Gaethje. Y'all know how we do it. But originally, it all started with the raps. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to take it here before we get the show started. This one was also pretty new, if it didn't play without me hearing it. But this is the Drake, Yes Indeed remix. Brendan Schaub, the Eskimo Brother remix. Let's get it.
Look, Dana, I'm busy with podcast committee. Got no time to talk to you. Came at me shitty when you were on Insta, so now I'm committed to make you look silly. And I have no pity and no disrespect with my nigga Izzy, but Dana's a bully, so Dana can get it. And I might just tell Black Beast about you and Rhonda, so that you get smacked with the wrath of Wakanda. Yeah, you should have probably just left it alone, cause now the whole world knows we're Eskimo bros. You fuck with Big Brown, now you're getting exposed. You fuck with Big Brown, and that's just how it goes.
What's up, full-time family? It's time. Let's see who we got. I think we got my boy Israel A. Yadong, Cool the Fool. Wake up with some coffee and herb to this magic. Fuck yeah, my dog Cool the Fool. What's up, good sir? Let's go. We got Golem Soy in the building. Hell yeah, man. What's up, full-time family? Glad y'all can join me on this morning edition of the show. That's dope to see. Everyone else on the replay, the lurkers, shout out to y'all too. We got to get straight to the show because we don't got much time for. We got to get to work. So with that being said, let's get into the news that's happened since we left the show last night. And of course, we also put some more videos out this morning. So Forward Thinking says Troll Busted, the one and only. Go get that money, bro. Forward Thinking, Troll Busted in the building, in here early. What is up? We got my dog Seismic Shock, Terminator 837, Waisim Gulam. We got some familiar faces. Andrew, what's up? Glad to hear you're getting work again. Yo, I seen this 2-week shift and I had to motherfucking snatch it. Because if I didn't take it that day, it's liable to be gone the next day. But yeah, we got a 2-week shift. That's great. Got some work. We still got the Fight Companion coming up Thursday, thanks to the full-time family, which is super dope. So let's get into it. Brendan Schaub blasting the UFC for putting marketing money behind Greg Hardy and not Nick Newell. Yo, I'm starting to wonder if, Brendan Schaub, he's always doing a podcast. He's always, just speaking his mind. But I'm almost starting to wonder if he's just like, I'm starting to think he's just kind of criticizing the UFC with this point here. Just this point here, because I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? Nick Newell, great story for sure. One-armed fighter. If you don't know who Nick Newell is, he got a shot on the Contender Series and got beat up. You know what I'm saying? 3-round decision, I believe, by a 4-0 fighter out of Team Alpha Male. So Nick Newell got that opportunity to fight in the Contender Series and got beat up. Now, Greg Hardy, on the other hand, he's had 2 opportunities to fight in the Contender Series, and he's knocking motherfuckers out in the first round. So if you're just talking about the Contender Series, I mean, Greg Hardy has actually earned the contract. But we'll get into Brendan Schaub's argument first. So you know what I'm saying? Don't want to misrepresent his argument before I respond. But this is what he had to say. I just don't understand. I don't understand why he's in that bullshit Contender Series. They're just doing it for reviews. They're riding and dying on Greg Hardy, which is hilarious. It just shows you the nature of the business when you're dealing with Dana White being a promoter. He says, I would bet my life on it that Nick Newell sells more tickets than Greg Hardy, especially as an established fighter who's a congenital amputee. His story is so much better. Not to mention, you're worried about Nick Newell. Nick Newell has, 20 times the amount of experience than the rest of the guys in the Contender Series. He fought at a high level, the World Series of Fighting. We can hate on the World Series of Fighting, however. Marlon Reis, Justin Gaethje, David Branch, Anthony Johnson, Andrei Arlovsky. I can go through a list of high-level fighters that have competed in the World Series of Fighting. To not give him an instant UFC contract is just wrong, man. It's wrong. Now, I gotta pump the brakes right there, man. That's way easier said than done. If you got a business, a combat sports business, which is already working to be looked at as a sport instead of human cockfighting, putting a one-armed fighter in your professional sport is setting you back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, because if he loses like he did in the Contender Series, we're talking the Contender Series is the Contender Series. You can find a guy that's 3-0 and put him in there against, Nick Newell. But the UFC is the fucking Shark Tank, and he's in the lightweight division. There's just, it's, you know what I'm saying? It's, but Greg Hardy, now to be fair, yeah, he's probably not going to be a champion either. But Greg Hardy, is still a heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? We saw what Francis Ngannou was able to do. Now, when you look at Nick Newell, and also I feel like, the argument for Nick Newell is a little different when you're like, look, he fought for the World Series of Fighting. So did Marlon Moraes, Justin Gaethje, David Branch, and Anthony Johnson and all of these guys. It's like, yeah, there's a couple dope-ass fighters from the World Series of Fighting, but when you're talking about the overall level of competition, the guys at the bottom of the ranks, like, the top 15 of Bellator's lightweight division are likely better than the top 15 of the World Series of Fighting. They're deeper, and Bellator's not even as deep as the UFC. So at the top of the divisions, like the bantamweight division, for sure you're going to have a really good-ass fighter like a Marlon Moraes, even a Justin Gaethje, who, he looked great coming into the UFC, looked great in his first fight in the UFC, but hey, he's even lost 2 fights since then. And then just specifically talking about Nick Newell, it's a great feel-good story. If he would have got the win on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, it would have been awesome. But he lost on the Contender Series, so it's like, what do? Just give him a contract just because you want ratings? Like, that's almost a lose-lose for Dana White. If you put him in there and he looks good, it's a feel-good story until he loses, and then it looks bad. And then if you just put him in there and he loses like he did in the Contender Series, it just looks bad. So eventually it's going to look bad for you. With Greg Hardy, I don't think there's going to be many people that mind seeing him get knocked the fuck out if he makes it to the UFC, if he makes it to the top 10 and then gets knocked the fuck out. That's not a bad thing. He got a shot. He earned his shot. He went through the Contender Series. Greg Hardy knocked out a bunch of guys before coming to the UFC in the first round, undefeated, just knocking motherfuckers out, which people like to see. On top of that, he brings a whole new audience to the sport as far as a lot of the casual fans, people that watch the NFL, not necessarily the MMA, they're going to tune in for Greg Hardy's fight. So it's almost like Greg Hardy's already a big draw. I mean, and so whenever Brendan Schaub argues that he thinks Nick Newell probably did better numbers than Greg Hardy, that could have been the case for maybe their first fight, and I'd still be kind of surprised, but it would depend on if, Greg Hardy's fans actually tuned into the Contender Series. But I definitely don't think he would, that even if he did sell more on the Contender Series, that trend would continue. I think as more people realize Greg Hardy is transferring to the UFC, he's actually going to be in the UFC, and once that actually starts, making it to the ESPN headlines and every fucking other big sports media website, Greg Hardy's going to be a pretty big draw. So, I mean, there's other guys that I think Brendan Schaub could have used as an example rather than Greg Hardy, because Greg Hardy is actually going to be a draw. And on top of that, I'll continue to what Brendan Schaub had to say, but it really is what a lot of us feel like. If Greg Hardy is a serial woman beater, fuck the guy. But for us to not know if he's a serial woman beater, for us to only know about the one incident, we can't just look at this guy as a fucking forever evil woman beater, permanent type shit. But this is what Brendan Schaub continued to say. He said, and to highlight a guy like Greg Hardy, not the person. As a person, that guy, I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire for what he's done to women, allegedly. However, him as a fighter, he's an older heavyweight. He has an NFL background. We've seen how this story works out. Trust me. We've seen how this story works out. He's going to be knocking out these lower-level guys. He's not UFC caliber. He would get beat by everyone on the current roster in the UFC. Everybody right now. And I don't know about that, man. He's very explosive. You don't think he can beat like a fucking Francis Ngannou or a lower heavyweight that's not even Francis? Like, there's some guys he could touch. Maybe if they don't got a chin. If you look at Francis Ngannou right now, and he wasn't in the UFC, you say, oh, if you saw his cardio and his grappling, oh, he couldn't beat anybody in the UFC. He don't have any cardio. He don't have any grappling. He's just this African dude that started fighting 5 years ago. But what the fuck did Francis Ngannou come do? He went on like a 7-fight winning streak, knocking motherfuckers out till he got to the title shot. Greg Hardy could for sure do that. For sure do that. He could knock out some heavyweights that are not ranked and then get to a top 15 guy. If he cracks them, he could beat them. Now, is he going to make it all the way to fight fucking Stipe Miocic or the heavyweight title? Probably not. But he for sure can knock some guys out in the UFC. Brendan Schaub continued, though. He said he would get beat by everyone on the current UFC roster. Everybody right now. But you're going to invest time and marketing dollars into that guy and not Nick Newell, who has fought for a world title. There's only about 4 or 5 major leagues in mixed martial arts. World Series of Fighting is one of them. It's produced some legit fucking champions. Marlon Moraes is a real fucking threat to TJ Dillashaw. Lance Palmer, who is over there right now, could probably beat 98% of the UFC if he came over. So it's like to shun a guy like Nick Newell is just silly. Now, if the UFC was just coming out with this stance of, we will not even give Nick Newell an opportunity. Sorry, he's got one arm. We don't do that shit. We don't even do it in the Contender Series. I would get it. But they gave Nick Newell an opportunity in the Contender Series, the exact same place as Greg Hardy. It's not like they just fucking threw a bunch of money behind Greg Hardy and said, here, you're in the UFC. He's earning his contract just like everybody else in the Contender Series. And Nick Newell got to fight in the Contender Series. He lost his fight. Greg Hardy got to fight in the Contender Series. He's won twice, 2 first-round knockouts. So everybody on the Contender Series gets a little bit of money put into him as far as promo. If you've watched the Contender Series, before every fight, there's a little promo leading into the fight where some guys talk about their upcoming fight, where they came from, and stuff like that. So everybody really, except for if you're in the main event, you get a little more shine, of course. But it's the Contender Series. You know what I'm saying? You got to go on there, earn the contract with the performance, and it's got to be one of the best performances on the show. And so if you go in there and you get beat, you know what I'm saying, by a guy that's 3-0 or 4-0, I don't know if that necessarily is going to get you a contract. It's like, what do you want Dana White to do? We gave him an opportunity to fight on the Contender Series. He lost. You want us just to give him money just because you like his story better than Greg Hardy's. I get it. A lot of people don't like Greg Hardy. But one thing that Brendan Schaub said right here that I'm like, come on, dog, but it is what it is. He says, I wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire for what he's done to women. He didn't say to that woman, women. That's making it sound like it's happened multiple times with Greg Hardy to multiple women. And unless you guys know something that I don't know, we only know about that one fucking time that happened in court. The chick didn't show up in the end, so of course he wasn't actually charged with it. But still, he's like being painted as a serial woman beater for that one incident. And now you got people saying for what he does to women. That's plural. That's saying like it happened multiple times. Like his fucking nickname should just be Greg Woman Beater Hardy. We're not giving him a second chance. But Dana White came out and said, hey, the guy changed his life. He stopped doing drugs. He stopped drinking. This is his second chance. What do you want him to do? Never work again? And yeah, man, with the way the Contender Series is structured, you go in there to earn your opportunity. If Nick Newell didn't want to, if he didn't think he could win that fight on the Contender Series, and that's another point to what Brendan Schaub was saying, he's talking about how Nick Newell was a champion, which is true, and how good the World Series of Fighting is, and how he's legit. Well, shit, you would hope that he would beat that 3-0 fighter in the Contender Series. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's going to be tough in any fight for Nick Newell. Of course, he's going to be able to beat some guys, which is how he got to 14-1. But, I mean, you're making it sound like he can compete with the top 15 of the UFC, and we just saw him fight a guy that was 3-0 in the Contender Series. Now, yeah, that guy was tough. He was a wrestler. There's wrestlers in the UFC. Oh, by the way, especially in the lightweight division. You have unranked motherfuckers like Islam Makhachev and Mairbek Taisimov in the fucking lightweight division. This is the Shark Tank. So I kind of don't agree. I know Dana White's done a lot of things we don't agree with, but I don't know if this is one that I'm going to chastise him for. It's like he put them both in the Contender Series. If you win, you likely get a contract. If you knock someone out, you likely get a contract. Even if you don't knock someone out and you just have one of the best performances on the show, you get a contract. But it's like people want him to just give Nick Newell a UFC contract, even though he lost on the show, just because it's like, come on, man, he's got a good story. It's like, man, I fuck with Nick Newell. He gives a lot of people hope. What he does is very motivating. Seeing him keep grinding with one arm, still trying to be one of the best fighters in the world, that's a super dope story. But another thing people don't really bring up is, what about Bellator? Everyone's making Dana White seem evil because he's not signing Nick Newell to a fucking Shark Tank. That could almost be a good deed. What do you want him to do? Sign him to fight Mairbek Taisimov? How many cans do you think there are in the UFC? You know what I'm saying? Until Nick Newell has to jump into this Shark Tank. This is the UFC World Series of Fighting. I can answer that question for you. There's a lot more cans at the bottom of the World Series of Fighting. Yeah, they got some tough guys at the top, but at the bottom, there's a lot more guys you can feed to somebody that isn't ready for the UFC, but they can pick up some wins. So it is what it is. But yeah, man, I don't know if I agree with calling Dana White a piece of shit because he's taking an opportunity on a heavyweight, changing his life instead of, Nick Newell. But it is what it is. There's also another situation, or another thing you got to keep in mind before we move on. Is Brendan Schaub a little biased? Him and Dana White have recently had a pretty epic back and forth, if you remember the whole Eskimo brother ordeal on the Israel Adesanya post. So is he a little biased? Just maybe, yeah, that's Dana White's fault too. You got to think about it. It's not just Dana White, right? Dana White says, no Nick Newell, Contender Series, doom, Greg Hardy. This is a business, especially owned by WME now. I don't know if Dana White's just making all these decisions. If you can just look at everything you disagree with and say, damn it, Dana White. But hey, it is what it is, man. If this situation progresses, if Dana White responds, which I don't know if he will, because Brendan Schaub's got the gun on safety right now. He already said, Dana White, if you want, I'm going to fucking release the hounds. Keep it up. This is no way Eskimo brothers. Speaking of, this is no way Eskimo brothers should talk about each other. You know what I'm saying? You're an Eskimo brother here too. We've been putting all the blame on our Eskimo brother, our fellow Eskimo brother here. I'm just saying. So we'll see what happens. But I honestly think Dana White's going to be a little quiet in this situation because Brendan Schaub seems to have the tea, whatever that is. So we'll continue because we don't got much time. Estimated pay-per-view numbers are in. for UFC 227, and they're better for expected. Whew, that's good to see. And I was hoping it would just be maybe now that Conor's back, people are going to start tuning in again. Conor was gone for a while, so no one gave a fuck about the sport, because even a stacked card, free or on pay-per-view, was just bombing in the box office. Now Conor's back, his fight's announced. 227 was not the most stacked card, but the numbers are still better than expected. Seems like maybe Conor McGregor just makes the whole sport fucking better. Not even just his fights. He's selling y'all's fights too. Ain't that crazy? Like, I'm going to sell $2 million for me, and then the fact that I'm just around, y'all are going to even sell a few more. That's crazy. But per Meltzer's report, it's difficult to explain why this card did so much better than expected in this era when all UFC pay-per-views seem to be slumping. One possibility is interest in the main event. Based on searches, Garbrandt and Dillashaw far outdistanced Johnson and Cejudo, even though Cejudo's title win was easily the biggest news story coming out of the show. Garbrandt vs. Dillashaw did have a huge grudge match element in the build-up, and that usually makes a big difference, and this was a rematch of an exciting first fight. So maybe the fact that it was a rematch and a grudge match, I was going to say we literally just saw a grudge match bomb. Colby Covington versus Rafael Dos Anjos is a grudge match. Colby Covington versus all of fucking Brazil and everybody else that hates Colby, that's a grudge match. It's not a rematch, but it's still some hate going in there. Now, Rafael Dos Anjos, maybe he didn't play it up as much, like, man, fuck Colby, I can't wait to beat his punk ass for Brazil. I'm doing this for Brazil. You know, if he would have played into it a little more, maybe, you know, it would have had a different outcome. But like I said, that was a grudge match. Those guys didn't like each other, so I'm surprised that still bombed. But this was a rematch, so maybe it's got to be a rematch and a grudge match. You know what I'm saying? That could be something to do with it. Meltzer also notes the recent announcement of Conor McGregor's return might have caused an overall surge in interest in MMA. That could be it as well. Not gonna lie, there's been some members of the full-time family that are back around. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen them in a while. Every shit's happening, and we're seeing some people roll back through. So there's some people that might have been, you know, missing Conor McGregor. He says another aspect revolves around the man the UFC revolves around, Conor McGregor. McGregor's fight with Nurmagomedov was announced the day before the fight, and another big fight with Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier, although they said Nick. Nate Diaz and Dustin Poirier was also announced that week. The announcements led to more mainstream media talk about the UFC and may have led to people thinking about the UFC wanting to get together and watch a double title match show. So it could be because Conor McGregor's back. Could be because of the rivalry between TJ and Cody. I'm not going to lie, man. I'm leaning toward Conor McGregor's back because we've seen some grudge matches bomb as well. And a rematch. Boom. Gotcha. Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez. That motherfucker was free. A grudge match. Rematch. They don't like each other. First fight ended in controversy. It was free. No one gave a fuck. As soon as Conor McGregor gets announced, what up, bitches? Everybody's selling pay-per-views. So, if we're going off of these numbers and we're looking at history, recent history, it's got to be because Conor's back. Conor being back has literally just got everybody paying attention to the sport. Because, like I said, we've seen grudge matches bomb. We've seen rematches bomb. Conor's back. Now shit's getting interesting. But where are the actual numbers? Did they actually even say that? Okay. According to Dave Meltzer in MMA Fighting, this is estimated to have sold something in the area of 300,000 buys. That's good to see for just a regular-ass card at this point, especially the numbers we were seeing. I mean, we saw one of the most stacked cards in UFC history, UFC 225. Initial reports were like 250,000. And then I think, or no. Initial reports were 150,000, and then it got up to 250,000. So that was stacked. I mean, I can remember the card. It was so stacked. The whole fucking card. Headlined, of course, by Whitaker Romero. You had Covington Dos Anjos. You had Holly Holm, Megan Anderson. You had Tai Tuivasa versus Andrei Arlovsky. You had Curtis Blades. Not Curtis Blades. You had, Curtis Blades versus Alice Rovery. They were on that card was so stacked. They were on the free part of the TV. So that, and CM Punk was also on the pay-per-view versus Mike Jackson. So that night of fights was stacked and bombed on the show because Conor McGregor wasn't around, it seems, which that's crazy. And if you think about it, in the past, that could have been the Rousey effect. I don't know, because before Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor really did their thug dizzle and took this sport to a whole nother level, I wonder, like, what were the numbers like before that? I don't know, but it's interesting. But either way, it's good to see that numbers are coming back, and now that Conor McGregor's here. So, with that being said, interesting little stat there that maybe that a lot of these low pay-per-view numbers and Fox TV numbers were tied to there being no star around. So with that being said, we'll move on. Kevin Lee wants to beat the fuck out of Anthony Pettis at UFC 229. There's only a couple of options for Kevin Lee and also Tony Ferguson. We looked at that recently on the show yesterday, and we saw that Tony Ferguson has a fight. He said fight news coming soon. He didn't say who, but he did say that he's medically cleared to fight, and Kevin Lee is also a guy who said, yo, I don't know who it's going to be. I ain't got an opponent yet, but somebody's getting their ass whooped at UFC 229. And we looked at the rankings. There's only really 3 guys in the top 10 available for a potential #1 contender fight. Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, and Anthony Pettis. Kevin Lee versus Tony Ferguson would be a rematch. I would still like to see it. It would be probably a different story, not going to lie. The first fight, Kevin Lee had staph infection, and Tony Ferguson was healthy. Second fight, Kevin Lee's healthy, and Tony Ferguson's coming off of a broke leg. That fight could play out completely different this time around if it were scheduled right now. Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee. But if those guys aren't the ones that are going to be fighting at 229, Pettis could be fighting Kevin Lee. This is what Kevin Lee had to say. I think the UFC likes the fight. Apparently, there are 2 more spots on that UFC 229 card. They're trying to find and see where everyone settles. Tony Ferguson is still out there. There are some moving parts, but that's the fight that makes sense. I get his reason for not taking a fight against me, Lee said, talking about GSP when he called him out at 165. He said, I'm a big risk and not much of a reward. I get it. I'll move past it. That said, I kind of took it as a little bit of disrespect. I took it as a little bit of a challenge that he doesn't see me as worth his time. I'll make my point. If I have to show him how good I am again and Anthony Pettis has to be the victim of it, then I'll beat the fuck out of Anthony Pettis. He continued to say, I'm the best lightweight out there for sure. Not only that, but I'm getting better and better. I'm constantly looking to improve myself. That's why I even stayed out of the media for a bit. I've been working on my skills. Whatever the UFC decides, I'm going to be ready to go on October 6th, ready to make that weight, even if they don't find me an opponent. So Kevin Lee's ready to show up and potentially replace someone in that title fight if they're injured. With that being said, even if not, he's ready to fight somebody on the card, whether it's Anthony Pettis or if Tony Ferguson's back. I'm sure he'd be open to that as well. But Tony Ferguson just got medically cleared to fight. October 6th could be a little too soon. I know Dana White said that he would like to have Tony Ferguson on that card just in case something happens to McGregor or Khabib. So we'll see if that happens because he is medically cleared to fight, and he said fight news coming soon. So I wouldn't be surprised, shoot, if by the fucking time I got off work, Tony Ferguson announced his next fight. Because UFC 229, we got the opener, Sean O'Malley versus Jose Quinonez, and we've got the main event, of course, the second main event, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now it looks like we got maybe Derrick Lewis versus Alexander Volkov. 2 more spots on that card. Sure, Kevin Lee would like to be on there. Dana White would like to have Tony Ferguson on there. Anthony Pettis would even be a good, if Ferguson's not healthy enough by the 6th. Pettis versus Lee, I'd be all the way down for. Former champion Kevin Lee looking to prove he's a future champion. That'd be a great fight. So we'll see what happens. But we got to move on because we only got about 15 more minutes before I got to leave for work. 15, maybe 20. Sean O'Malley returns against Jose Quinonez to open up UFC 229. This is the first main event of the night. My motherfucking dog, Sugar Sean O'Malley, coming back. Cannot wait. This makes me even that much more excited for this card. Whenever I see motherfucking Sean O'Malley versus Jose Quinonez, I just got like some fucking energy surging through me. I just want to fucking Hulk smash my fucking keyboard and flip shit because I'm so excited for this fucking fight. But I'm not going to do that because it's going to make a huge mess and I don't got time. I'm just saying there's some sort of fucking energy going through me right now, knowing the fact that Sean O'Malley's going to be opening that motherfucking show for Khabib versus McGregor. Let's go. And he's taking on Jose Quinonez, a very worthy opponent, riding a 4-fight winning streak. Ooh, going to be a tough fight. Cannot fucking wait. I'm hoping Sugar Sean O'Malley gets some sort of viral knockout or submission. Either way, it's going to be a fun fight. He loves to throw all type of ninja shit, spinning shit, but he ain't just being flashy. He's landing shit. He's been doing nothing but getting better with his jiu-jitsu. Not gonna lie, between me and you guys, I'm a little worried because I know my dog's got a little bit of a torn labrum in the hip, just a little bit. And you know what I'm saying? That's not even the ankle injury that he healed up from. I don't know if it was when he was training jiu-jitsu or whatever. My dog, he was looking at getting surgery on his fucking torn labrum in his hip. But in order to fight at this card, they're just going to go with physical therapy. I mean, no fighter comes in at 100%, but I would like to see Sean O'Malley coming in as close as possible because that's my motherfucking dog. With that being said, it is what it is. Can't wait for that fight. We're going to move on, though. Don't got much time. He's going against El Teco, Jose Quinonez. He already started the trash talk, said, I can't wait to take El Taco's head off. Let's fucking go. What more can you ask for from the boy? Welcome to the Sugar Show. If you are new, let's continue. Reebok no longer allowed to sell Conor McGregor apparel in Europe. This is low-key kind of crazy. Conor McGregor clearly running shit. Read what they had to say. It says, the reason for this happening came down to a trademark dispute between McGregor's Netherlands-based fashion line, also known as the epitome of preppy. So McGregor has his own Netherlands-based fashion line, and these motherfuckers are over there shutting Reebok down. Listen, it says, that report also states that Reebok shorts, hoodies, and sweaters that have McGregor's name labeled on them in big letters will have to be removed and excluded from being sold by all outlets in the next 7 days. If the outlets do not comply with the said ruling, it would be fines of 250,000 euros, equals of $285,000. So with that being said, here's another statement. It says, the public would be confused into believing that the clothing made by Reebok for the Irish mixed martial artist and boxer comes from the McGregor fashion house. We asked Reebok to stop selling clothing that would confuse the public, but they refused. So it looks like the ruling was already down, though. They've got a certain amount of time before they have to stop selling it. So I would be kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying, if Conor McGregor's clothing brand could, like, nope, I'm selling Conor McGregor gear. Fuck that. Y'all got to get that Reebok off my shelves. You know, Conor McGregor clearly going to be the only one that can do that. You know what I'm saying? Push Reebok off the shelf for his own brand. And it's because Conor McGregor's running shit. We just saw numbers are already starting to come back just when they announced this fight. He ain't even fighting motherfuckers are coming back. I mean, so Conor McGregor's got clearly, this motherfucker could easily be a UFC owner in the next 10 years. He might seriously retire from fighting and just start running shit from the top. I mean, get a piece of the pie and go do his thug thizzle somewhere else. I'm just saying, Conor McGregor means a whole lot to this company. That's why he gets a little bit of the special privileges, and we've all seen that recently with these numbers. I mean, like I said, we can look at rematches, rivalry rematches. None of those brought the fans back like Conor McGregor seems to have. We'll see if this trend keeps up, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of these cards start fucking selling more since McGregor's back. But either way, it looks like if you are in Europe, you're going to be buying gear from Conor McGregor's Netherlands-based fashion line known as the epitome of preppy, and not that pesky old Reebok. So we'll see what happens there. It just seemed interesting, the fact that, you know, Conor's clothing line can get Reebok off the shelves. It's like, woo, that's some power. But it is what it is. Conor McGregor, biggest star in the UFC. Let's continue. Not much time. Derrick Lewis gives an update on UFC 229 fight against Alexander Volkov, as well as his back issues. I'll be listening to this today at work. I downloaded all the MMA Hour, all of that shit to listen to at work today. So I haven't actually heard this, but Derrick Lewis is feeling better as of late. He revealed on Mondays, the MMA Hour, that he underwent a new treatment on his back 2 or 3 weeks ago that has his body filling up to the challenge of taking another fight camp. I'm not going to lie, Derrick Lewis is going to quit fucking with me with these back issues, bro. This is like a continuing thing. And what's crazy, going into his Francis Ngannou fight, no, bro, I got my back shot. I'm good. And they're like, are you sure? Like, your back's not going to fuck with you in the fight? He's like, no, I just got the back shot a few days ago. It lasts a week. Pause. And so it's like, okay, now he's talking about, oh, yeah, no, my back's fucking great, bro. It's good. Like, everything's good. So, like, when he's building up to his fight, he sells the fight by telling us all he's healthy. And then once the fight comes around, it's like, oh, actually, my back is actually still fucked up. I don't believe this motherfucker's back's ever going to get better. You know what I'm saying? It might. I hope it does. I'm just saying, it's always feeling better until it's fight time. And then about that second, third round, something boom, 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 pops out. And, you know, Derrick Lewis's back is back to being fucked up. And I feel with Derrick Lewis because I got some fucking back issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what all it is, but I threw my back out when I was younger. Inflammation, all type of bullshit going on in my back. You know what I'm saying? But so I feel with the chronic back pain and shit like that. But at the same time, it's like when you're coming into a fight, that's never a good thing, and it's actually hurt him in some of his last few fights versus Marcin Tybura. He had a slow first 2 rounds, and part of it was because of his back, he felt, but he was able to come back, get that 3rd round KO. Francis Ngannou, one of the most boring heavyweights of all time, and Derrick was like, yep, my back was fucked up. I was like, bro, we asked you about your back before the fight. You said you were all goody. What's going on, bro? And so it is what it is. But he said, right now, it's going pretty good. He told Luke Thomas, he says, the shots that I took, they said it should last 10 to 12 months. And it's only going to last, of course, until halfway through your fight. We know. But he continued. He says, it wasn't stem cells or nothing like that. It was something. They shot me like 20 times in one spot. It was some type of steroids. Oh, shit. They're fucking trying to get Derrick Lewis flagged by USADA. Y'all better chill. They like shot him with that, and then USADA popped up. Is Derrick there? Knock, knock. Like, is Derrick there? Time for a USADA test. I'm just saying, though. But last time he said it was magnesium shots he was getting. Must have some like magnesium and steroids in that joint now. He says, this is my first time having them shots. I was taking magnesium, and the magnesium was working for a while, but this last fight right here, it didn't work at all. I feel good. I feel real mobile right now. All of my fights, especially all of my UFC fights, my whole career, I've never been in there without any kind of impingement and pain wrong with my back. It just amazes me that I made it this far with all the pain that I have to endure during all of my fights. We're taking it step by step, day by day. We're taking it real slow because ain't no way I'm going to pull out of this fight again. I pulled out in the past, and I ain't planning on doing that this fight here. We'll see what happens, man. But I'm a little skeptical, you know what I'm saying? Just because he's had these persistent back problems, even with the UFC's doctors, magnesium shots, all type of shit. He's probably had stem cells shot in there, and his back is constantly bothering him. So can we believe these shots are going to work this time? I don't know, man. Coming off his last performance, either way, it's like it's kind of hard to know where Derrick Lewis. Shoot, that's the story of Derrick Lewis' career. A lot of the times he's coming back in fights. A little bit of a slow starter. So going against Alexander Volkov, it's going to be a tough fight with or without a good back. Even if you came in 100% healthy, this is going to be a tough fight. Alexander Volkov's legit. He's got like 35 pro fights, only 29 years old as a heavyweight. Fought in Bellator, I believe, the World Series of Fighting. A couple of his only losses are like fucking split decisions, a decision. He just finished Fabricio Verdum. You're dealing with the motherfucking serious threat to the future heavyweight title, Alexander Volkov. It might not be this year, it might be next year, it might be the year after that, but he's still young as a heavyweight, and he's got a lot of potential. So, tough-ass fight for Derrick Lewis on a big card, McGregor versus Khabib. Hopefully he can get his back together in time, but we don't have much time. We got about 10 minutes before we got to go. So we got a couple more topics before we chat with the full-time family before we get out of here. Ben Nguyen versus Wilson Hayes targeted for UFC Adelaide. UFC Adelaide could possibly be headlined by Tai Tuivasa and Junior Dos Santos. It could possibly be headlined by Tai Tuivasa and Marcin Tybura. There's a few potential headliners for UFC Adelaide over there, I believe, in Australia. New Zealand. I'm not the best with geography. You get the point, though. Over there on the other side, motherfucking in the outback and shit. You know what I'm saying? But Ben Nguyen, he's from Australia, I believe. He's fighting at UFC Adelaide. He's going to have the home crowd on his side, taking on former title challenger Wilson Hayes. That's a fun flyweight fight. Ben 10, Nguyen coming back. I'm a fan of Ben 10, so interested in that fight for sure. Moving on, Lyoto Machida responding to Gegard Mousasi's PED accusations and everything else. He says, everything he says motivates me. These guys have fought once in the past. Lyoto Machida won that fight. Now they're both under the Bellator banner, and we could be potentially looking at a rematch with Mousasi and Machida over at Bellator. Not going to lie, can't wait. Gegard Mousasi is one of my favorite fighters of all time. If you ain't know, now you know. When he's over at Bellator, I don't give a fuck. He's still one of the best, if not the best middleweight on the planet. I would love to see Gegard Mousasi versus motherfucking Robert Whittaker today, but unfortunately, he was signed by Bellator in free agency on a fight winning streak, which also got some of that fucking O'Malley energy going back through me, making me want to fucking Hulk smash my keyboard and flip some shit because the UFC let Gegard Mousasi fucking go to Bellator, and he's one of the best middleweights on the planet. So yeah, a little pissed off as a big Gegard fan when I think about that. But now he's at Bellator. He's getting paid by Scott Coker doing his thug dizzle, and even though he doesn't get a chance to fight fucking Robert Whittaker, we know what's up, you know what I'm saying? They got Rory McDonald, we know what's up. Bellator's definitely got some of the best fighters in the world. So with that being said, Gegard Mousasi recently has said that he 100% feels like Lyoto Machida was on PEDs in their first fight, and this is the response to from Machida. He says, "Everything Mousasi says only motivates me. I have a win over him, and I think he's a little bothered by it. But I think it's an easier fight to promote now. I'm very motivated, and I want this opportunity, especially with him as a champion. Fighting in Bellator is a dream come true for me. Having a belt is a bigger dream. But I just got to the promotion one step at a time. I have to fight first, feel well, and think about this. I want the Bellator belt. I'm not here to be a part of the roster and just fight. I came to become a champion and remain the champion for as long as I can." And so, regarding to the topic of drug testing, Machida, who had a run-in with USADA for what many consider an unfair 18-month suspension for disclosing the use of 7-keto DHEA, whatever the fuck that is, says it feels good to not be required to report his whereabouts anymore. So he admitted himself to taking some shit, and USADA was like, "Oh, thanks for telling us. Get out of here. 18 fucking months. We'll see you later." And it's like, damn, bro, I was just trying to let you know that I'm trying to, is this banned? So he got an 18-month suspension. A lot of people disagreed with it, but he says, "I'm in favor of the anti-doping system in the sport. I believe it's good for the sport, but I'm not in favor of how USADA deals with many cases. I think sometimes they are too harsh and don't take into consideration how the situation occurred, the athlete's past, similar situations that could have been seen when making a hard decision on a professional athlete's career who lives and depends on it. I won't say I left the UFC because of USADA, no way, but today I feel lighter without USADA. I feel lighter. The thing that you have to report where you are going generated so much stress. Today I'm free, more relaxed. I'm living happier in that aspect. You can imagine, like, fuck around and slip up and go to the damn grocery store. Oh shit, I didn't tell you USADA. You know, it's like a damn probation officer almost. I tell them everywhere you're going, you only got 30 minutes to motherfucking be there, because if not, you're lying. Like, damn, bro, is this USADA or probation? What's going on? But with that being said, he just feels lighter. Like, even though I'm cool with the fucking drug testing, y'all saw I got some wins before I left, I'm cool with that. I'm not trying to have to get on my phone every time I decide to fucking leave my house and tell these guys, hey, I just decided that I want to fucking, you know what I'm saying, protein shake. I'm going down to the motherfucking juice bar. You can't even do that. It's like, I got to tell y'all everything? Come on, dog. So, little strict, you can imagine fucking leaving UFC. You get to take a breath of fresh air like, oh, shit. Damn, you know what I'm saying? You couldn't wait to get rid of that fucking USADA app. That thing probably scared you every time you looked at it. Like, God, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. And it's mandatory over there. Even fighters that don't take steroids talk about how strict USADA is sometimes. There was a guy, Nick Diaz, at one point getting into it with a USADA agent who was trying to fucking, not into it like a fight, but arguing with them because they were trying to come test his ass at like 4 in the morning. He's like, dog, I was training today. I just got home from doing whatever, and now y'all want me to stay up so you guys can come in and fucking watch me piss? I'm trying to go to bed. I've been training. What the fuck? Sorry, we got to come up. He's like, fuck it, just give me a flag. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so definitely a little strict as far as USADA's concerned. Also, fighters are guilty until proven innocent. You get flagged, everyone thinks you're a cheater. USADA says you're innocent, everyone still thinks you're a cheater. You get pulled from your fight, you lose wages. Junior Dos Santos got pulled from his Francis Ngannou fight. All type of shit that goes on with USADA. That's the cons. Now, of course, there's pros. They're cleaning up the sport somewhat. There's some fighters that bodies have changed, so you know that USADA's doing something. But are the pros worth the cons? I think that's where we're at now. Are the USADA pros worth the USADA cons? Not exactly sure. We got one more topic before we get to the full-time chat, and we got to get out of here for work. Angry man is back. Attacks MMA media for ignoring his abuse from Ali Abdelaziz. I guess we're clear because we covered that on our show. We didn't do no headline or no crazy headline, but we know what he's talking about if you watched the show from yesterday. This video here, he was talking about Frankie Edgar's manager. Here's the other video he posted showing all the badges. Like, yo, you guys talked about threatening me. You guys fucking said something about wrecking up my shop. Just know I'm neighborhood watch, motherfuckers. Police love me, and I love the police. I got awards for how much I support the police. I got badges all throughout my bar. So come on through, motherfuckers. Just know that I'm warning the police. And now he's responding one last time. All of you should be ashamed of yourself. Hashtag Ali Act to MMA. Hashtag MMAFA. Oh shit, he's talking about unions and shit right here. Whoa. If he's got music.
Another thing while I'm at it. All you so-called MMA talk shows, look down. It's called boss, and none of you have them. This is a major story about a major manager of major fighters, and you ignore it because you're afraid that he will blackball you from getting fighters on your show. That's a disgrace. That is a disgrace. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Everyone.
Uh-oh. Hey, he's got a good point. Well, it looks like I might not be getting any interviews from Ali Abdelaziz's people. No, he's got some of the biggest stars in the sport. He's got a good point. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's why some of the media ain't fucking with this dude. I only saw this on like 1 or 2 places, and it might have been like a clickbait-ass website where I saw it, or we wouldn't even have known about this. But hey, Ali Abdelaziz does got like Frankie Edgar, I believe like Marlon Moraes. Shit, he might even be Habib's manager. So you know what I'm saying? If too many people start putting this shit out there and they don't know the full story, it's like, oh really? You gonna put that out there about me? Fuck you. You can't interview none of my fighters. So I mean, I already ain't getting interviews. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's already hard to put them things together. So I ain't worried about it. It is what it is. If a fighter wants to interview with me, they can. And if they don't, they won't. We're going to be grinding with or without fighter interviews. Because to be honest, unless you're interviewing like fucking Conor McGregor, people are there for the interview. They hear a couple of things. They might not even leave thumbs up. They just listen to what the fighter had to say and move the fuck on with their lives. They don't give a fuck about the interviewer anyway. So that being said, I might not be getting no fighter interviews. No, I'm just kidding. I'm way too small for them to even be fucking thinking about. But yeah, man. Also, one of the things I gotta say though, to respond to this guy talking about, oh, you motherfuckers got no balls. You didn't cover this story. It's not like you were really clear with what happened. You said some shit in your videos that might have had something to do with you getting some threats. You didn't mention names. You didn't say, hey, I did this, and so these guys threatened me with this. You didn't fucking give us details and say, hey, I told them no to this, and so they threatened me with this. We don't even know what the fuck's going on. We just know that it sounds like you got threatened on your phone. That's it. If you want people to report it, they need details. They can't just go off saying, hey, Ali might be threatening this fucking guy. Frankie might be involved. You can't just say it like that. I mean, we can play your video, but if you're not giving us the details, we ain't about to speculate for you what the fuck could be going on behind the scenes. So, I mean, I played the videos, but I still don't 100% know what's going on. He's talking about some good versus evil. I mean, we can fucking put 2 and 2 together and see what we come up with, but we're probably going to come out with 3. So it is what it is, man. That being said, let's see what the full-time family's talking about because we don't got much time. I got to shut this down. Got to get to work. I got to be to work by 3 p.m. Eastern. Right now, it's 2:20 Eastern. Still got to get ready, grab some lunch before work, eat that shit, get to work, and listen to my motherfucking MMA podcast. Yeah. That being said, we lost a subscriber during the show. What a baby back bagel biting bitch boy. If you're listening to this on replay, make sure you hit thumbs up. And also you hit the subscribe button if you are new. Fucking it's a great time to be an MMA fan. We got shows coming up. We got the Fight Companion coming up this Thursday for Kayla Harrison at PFL. Fight Companion coming up this Saturday for James Vick versus Justin Gaethje. Can't wait. Gonna be fun. With that being said, someone said hangout. Clearly you're not listening, brother. I gotta go to work. No hangout. We probably won't have a hangout for the rest of this week because I gotta go to work for the rest of this week. So, unfortunate. But we'll have a hangout again sometime soon. That being said, Forward says, surprise, surprise, motherfuckers, the kid is back. Wasim Gulam says, let's go. Intro song link says, oh, that was way earlier. Bars, oh, I gotta scroll way down. Arpit says, what's up, bro? Not much. John Doe says, Fight Companion, yay! Yeah, let's go, Kayla Harrison versus Jose Quinonez. I can't fucking wait this Thursday. Of course, this Saturday we got Fight Companions coming up. Live shows every day. We're grinding. John Doe says, somehow can you figure it out through Reddit and MMA Discords, but I don't get it. Kinshiro Ryu says the Irish Americans will buy Conor's pay-per-views and have house parties, drink fosters beer like water and either jump, laugh, or cry if Conor loses, but they pay for pay-per-views. This is the thing. I don't even think they have house parties. These motherfuckers have house parties by themselves. These motherfuckers are buying the pay-per-view on every TV in the house. You don't even like they're just getting together and buying it. That'd only be one pay-per-view. These motherfuckers are like doing Skype calls. I'm buying it at my house. You buying it at your house? Make sure you buy it in your daughter's room, too. We got to support Conor. Hey, son, buy Conor McGregor's pay-per-view before you turn on your fucking game. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're just buying that shit on every TV in the house. They ain't even getting together to do it because they're selling a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I appreciate you guys for coming through. I got to go to work. I'll see you guys after work. We're going to probably just be doing some regular videos. Who knows? I might get off work ready to talk some motherfucking MMA. We might do an impromptu motherfucking stream where we're doing a hangout or something. With that being said, there was just like 23 people watching. Now there's 19. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button on the way out. That being said, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. We're out.